Welcome back to the channel. Here we are at the Ryan Free Motorcars headquarters, once formerly Ferrari of Glen Cove, which is pretty cool. Again, going back on the historic history stuff with certain car stuff, the fact that this was once a Ferrari dealer that I walked in as a child dreaming. It's pretty freaking cool that now it has my name outside and we are running a business with 20 employees and loving every moment of it. To give you a quick update market report, we recently just had Pebble Beach auctions. We'll correlate the Pebble Beach auctions with our inventory, cars like our inventory, and things that you guys follow us for. Overall, at first, people thought some numbers were down, and they were at a lot of these auctions. Gooding, Broad Arrow, RM Sotheby's, but what they really noticed later, and I find it funny and ironic because it's like, the majority of people that run these auctions are a little bit older, not in the, weren't born in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and they are focusing on like a lot of these 50s cars, 60s cars, even cars from the 30s and 40s and stuff like that, which are not really our generation. Cars like those, similar to like an era of muscle cars that went down at one point, there's not many buyers for them in the future. We don't want those cars. People from our generation and our type of, cars that we like. So those cars you're gonna see consistently go down unless another person comes in that basically loves those cars. And it's not me and it's not our crowd. But then if you looked at the 80s and 90s cars, some of them went through the roof. I mean, there was a 100-mile on MSO 1989, which is the last year, 560 SL, which if you all know, those are the cars that we started on. It went for an astonishing $260,000 world record. Like, I said to myself, I'm bidding up to 110. We recently had a 12,000-mile one, and we sold that for, I think, a little bit under $100,000, and it wasn't even an 89. So the long story short is that these cars are now becoming so desirable and so wanted. I mean, even today I saw a post from one of my buddies in Pennsylvania that bought his wife a red on saddle 560 SL convertible and said, honey's new car, like that these are the cars that people want to drive around in. So even though there was one at these auctions that did $260,000, mind you, it had 100 miles on it and it was still on factory MSO, was never even titled or anything. A regular one with like 30, 40, 50,000 miles could go anywhere from the 30, 40s to 50s depending on condition and service history and stuff like that. And 89 being the last year, the most desired. So, it's amazing that there's collectability in the sense where people still have these cars with such low mileage that are breaking records. Like I said, I was only going to go up to about 110,000 with my bidding, and then I actually went to 150,000 thinking, if the energy in the room. Sometimes when we're at these auctions, the energy, and that's the other thing, like the energy around the 80s, 90s, early 2000 cars was electric. Like, I remember there was a night auction at RM Sotheby's when it was a little bit lighter, but at Gooding when they had a lot of these older cars, but at RM they had such great era cars. Like they nailed it on the head, in my opinion, not taking sides, just saying the stats. If you were in that room that night, I forget what night it was, but if you were in that room, it literally, you could feel the electricity of the bidding, and it was just one bid and another bid, and these certain cars were just doing good numbers and what they should. And some did crazy, like this 993 GT2 in red, which was, by the way, beautiful, but that car really should do $1 million to $1.1 million. I think it did like $1.8 million or even more, which is wild. And some other cars in those same eras did wild numbers. In my opinion, this white 3.6 turbo that I bought with a 500 to 600 estimate, I think it was kind of hidden in the corner. And I don't think if you looked at the book, it wasn't around other cars. So I just don't think I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle, because the day before at Gooding, a cobalt blue one, a Euro, did $590,000. So I don't know, in my opinion. So you go back to that car that I bought, which I did a video on the white 3.6 turbo. Again, you can't find another one. And the fact that I did get a good deal, maybe somebody will pay a profit. If not, I'm happy to keep it. But to go back to the market report here, talk about a few cars, because we are in that generation of early 2000s, 80s, and 90s cars, and that's what everybody's buying and loving. So overall, to go back to on the auctions, when they recapped on everything, they said that it wasn't overall down, it was just that it's a generational shift. And that's actually what's going on. And my business model specifically focuses on those cars and the best versions of them, the rarest versions of them, And we'll have 5 or 6 of each kind. Right now we have 4 America Roadsters in inventory. We have 6 Stradales in inventory. We have multiple turbos, multiple air-cooled of all different variants. Wide body coupes, narrow body convertibles, narrow body coupes. So it's amazing. And the people that we have buying these cars are anyone from their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So it's pretty cool. But like this car right here, 997 GT2, only 17 made in red. This car a couple years ago was under $200,000. You know, and this car sold for mid threes, 8,000 miles, really rare, clean car, well optioned, good history on it. And I see this car still as a lot of car for the money. It has room to grow. This has room to be a $500,000 car. I remember when the 997 GT2 RSs were going for $200,000 and people thought that were a lot of money. Now those are going for 6, 7, 8. A record at Broad Arrow was a black one. The 500th car out of the 500 made went for 800 and change with the fee. I still think that that's a good deal with like 100 or 200 miles or something like that. That's a $1 million+ car all day, in my opinion. So like, in a way, what I say is you're not overpaying. And I explain this to a lot of collectors. I don't feel that people overpay for a certain rare car. If it's a rare car you're buying it and you're paying a little bit more than what the market is or what another one in a regular color is, you're just prepaying a few years ahead. So let's just say you paid 3 years ahead of what it would be worth in 3 years, and 4 years from now, you're the smart person. You know, you're the person that has, you had such insight, you know? And that's been me my whole life with these cars, and yelling at either my father or family friends or people I knew, buy this, buy that, no, don't buy that, you're crazy, you know? And people that have listened, and as you see from the business I built, it really is all. People say, oh, is it blue book, is it black book, is it red book, is it purple book? It's touch and feel. It's the feeling that you get from the pulse, like I said, when you're in that room, like at RM Sotheby's, and you feel the electric. When you look at the market and go online and see the pace and numbers of how many of each car have come up annually. Example, how I said the 94 Turbo, I haven't seen a white one come publicly for sale for 5 years. So it's stuff like that. Like, people could say, oh, that's too much. It's too much of a price. This is too much. But how do you know another one's gonna come up? How do you know another one like it's gonna come up? How do you know if that other one that comes up in the same color and same mileage has original paint, has a clean Carfax? So my best advice is get in. You know, even if it's something smaller to start with, like right now I feel a 997 C2S Coupe in a manual, very, very, very limited car, especially the 12s, even a GTS model, a variant with the power kit. I think those are great price point cars right now that are going to continue to go up. Let's go walk around and see a little bit more. So right over here we have some crazy looking car, Mexico blue paint to sample, only 5 non-metallic colors made out of the 1276, I believe are the exact numbers. And this one here, Mexico blue, unfreaking believable. Like absolutely out of control. Mind you, they only made the Turbo S's in PDK, but again, finding something unique with a paint to sample color, you don't see that every day. So yeah, I paid more than anybody would think that the retail value would be of this, but I bought it and paid the number to get it out of someone's garage and bring it to the market. Realistically, it's a lot of car for the money. A lot of car for the money. Go find another. You're not. Similar to this car, even though it's a 2018, newer model, but still a manual and a combustion engine, which is going to be ending soon. They're going to be hybrids. Who knows what's going to be in the future? Non-manual cars. This also, paint to sample, Ferrari red. You're not going to see this at all. It may look on its own, standing the way it is, pretty normal, but if you put it next to Guards red, it's 2 different colors. So it's little things that like this that have the edge, that give these cars the value that they're supposed to be a very valuable car, more than the other ones, a regular one, a silver one, a black one, a blue one. And this car also is just specced out properly with ceramic brakes, with bucket seats, deviating stitching, lower rocker panels painted to match. I mean, this car has the lipstick, the makeup, the hair, the dress, everything you'd want to you know what. But long story short is this car is sold. It is no longer available. We do have a few other paint to sample ones as well. We have a Meissen Blau that just came in, as well as a Viper Green. A few others that are coming in soon that you'll see. But let's take it upstairs and we'll go right now to see other cars that we have that are bring new additions to the collection and inventory that represent exactly what we do and exactly what we want to portray out there to the public with the cars that we buy. And we're back upstairs now To talk about some more cars that I discussed, like downstairs. Here's another one, such as the car downstairs, the Turbo S in Mexico blue, but this is a standard color, speed yellow. Next to, right behind, fly yellow paint a sample. But this car is fitted with the aero kit, factory aero kit, which is, if you look at the front bumper, the lower valance is extended out, as well as the rear spoiler is an added fixed, lifted up wing, which gives it like this more aerodynamic look. Turbo S comes standard with ceramic brakes. This is a car that a customer bought 2 months ago, and he fell in love with the yellow Ferrari that we got in. We said, bring it back, we'll trade it straight up. It was as simple as that. I didn't even know this car was up here. He put these decals on, which will be coming off, that he liked this added touch. But this is a car at a price point that I feel is just gonna continue to go up. Like the Turbo 94s that we just drove that were once in the $100,000 range and now in a $500,000 range, this is a car in the $100,000 range that will appreciate in time. As more become totaled and less become available, not even a question, a great price point car and a great entry-level car for a Porsche. But to go back on these, air-cooled type stuff. So all the air-cooleds right now are hot. They're staying strong if they're good, clean cars, if they have extra service work and records. Definitely great cars and standing strong in the Porsche world. Ferraris on that other coin, I would say, such as the 348s and 355s, we saw a tremendous spike in the market on those cars, and they've actually now, to me, decreased. So you have a little bit of a phase where people call you and say, oh, I got this 355 GTS manual, it's a great car, it's fully serviced, major was done, I want $275,000 for it. Well, that's not even the retail market of that car anymore. So, you know, you get to those cars I feel are more volatile, the Italian cars, mechanically and market-wise. That's why a Porsche mechanically and market-wise is much more stable and much more safe. So these air-cooled cars, pretty cool. Again, everything's gonna have a little bit of a story in our inventory. For the most part, this being a pastel yellow and 1998 being the last year, has chestnut interior with sport seats, which is really cool. See, this is a car like somebody calls up and, for example, says to me, oh, you know, why is it priced so high? And we didn't even have the VIN online or whatever. And I'm like, well, it has this, 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 and this. And the guy's like, you don't think I know what it is? Well, I'm like, well, you wouldn't know it has limited slip. You wouldn't know that it has motor sound. You wouldn't know that it has a special wishes interior if I didn't tell you certain things. So like, and it's a 98. So like, you put all that together, that's what makes it not overpriced, but worth more. It's not gonna be relative to a market, to a silver one. So, but like, the silver one is pushing this up a little bit, and the yellow one is pulling the silver one up a little bit. And that's happening tremendously in Porsche. Whereas you don't see that happen in Ferrari, so to speak. Maybe Lambo in colors and stuff, but most Ferraris, you get resale red. And we've tried, you saw the purple 430 we had and some other colored Ferraris. They just don't pull the money. They just don't pull the demand. For some reason, you could pull up in a pink Porsche, which this is Ruby Neo, which is now offered as a standard color, which I feel compared to on the market with the paint to sample Ruby Star, that has diminished. This has diminished the value, I feel, of Ruby Star because this is standard. Ruby Star is paint to sample. Little bit different variations in color, but the fact that they're so similar to like a Voodoo Blue and Shark Blue, like Voodoo Blue being a very cool paint to sample color, but I would say it's valued less than like a Mexico Blue, a Riviera Blue, a Meissen Blue. And that's another conversation people are starting to have. They're like, why is that paint to, they're both paint to sample. It's not like it goes regular color and then paint to sample, and they're two different levels. There are rarer levels of paint to sample. Yes, it's crazy. It goes even that deep. Going over here, this is just, again, not a paint to sample color, but a 997.2, so 2010 and 2011 GT3 RS, 3.8 liter in aqua blue metallic. They only made 57 cars in this color. So finding one, although this one has steel brakes and sofa seats and a rubber dash and stuff like that, it's still one of the 57. So that's why I say, like, we had one that had 8,000 miles, and we actually had two. One other one had 5,000 miles, and they had full leather, deviated stitching, ceramic brakes, bucket seats. You can't compare that car. Like, that car is light years different from this car. But, you know, for example, that car sold for well over $400,000. This being in the mid threes with only 15,000 miles, original paint, clean DME, what a great price point entry-level car to get into that. Because when you're driving this car alongside at a car show or on the highway, no one knows that the car's got 15,000 miles, right? So not every one that you buy has to be the best one or the most collectible one, but this one puts you in the game, you know, at a price point. Again, 2-3 years ago, this car was literally half the money. Like, I was buying them for $150,000, $160,000, and it's crazy that just in that short time they went up. It's also affected by the 4.0 liter cars. Like there's the whites, the blacks, and then there's the paint to samples. Only 19 paint to samples for the US, 39 for the world on the 4.0s. The white ones were the majority colors. And black, I believe there was like 31 or so. I had a couple paint to samples and one black one. And as those have gone up, those have pushed these up, pulled these up, and as these have gone up, it says, okay, a 3.8 can't be the same price as a 4.0, so it almost, as the lower mile rare ones get up there, then pushes up even the bottom 4.0s. So it's interesting how it all works, but what I could say is because there's such low production on all these cars, which I believe it was around 141 total 4.0s for the United States, they're not a lot of cars. And when they first came out and they were $200,000, although the dollar was different then, it still was inexpensive for somebody to buy a basically track-ready sports car for that amount of money to go use and enjoy. So a lot of them have been ripped, so to speak, and have higher miles or have incidents on them and stuff like that. So as time goes on, the better ones, they're not saying the best spec and the lowest miles, but just a well-kept 15,000 mile with original paint and well serviced. Those are the value buy cars that I feel that you should buy right now that are going to continue to go up. Because as time in the future, people always ask this question, do you think people are caring less and less about miles on their car? And the answer is yes. I think it's relative to the time. I don't think 2,000, 3,000 miles, yes, it's low, but like, I think a 10,000 mile car will be viewed differently as it is today than in 10 years. Makes sense just because time going on, but the fact that overall, I don't think maybe 10,000 miles is like, oh, it's not low, but it's not high. I think 10,000 miles in 10 years is gonna be like, that car's got super low mileage. But we'll see, we'll go back to it. But quickly over here, going into, wow, we just saw this car for the first time. Holy, bleep it out, shit. Oh, this is cool. My cousin and I decided to convert our sunroofed Elite M3 to a CSL, which this is a factory CSL. I was not even prepared for this because I'm just seeing it for the first time. Holy shit. Never made for the US, so it's a real, though, US car, real stick shift car. We found a full original interior, CSL interior, everything, down to like the door panels, the door carts, all carbon, the back seats. We paid close to $30,000 for this interior, and we ripped it out and put it in. We also did the front bumper, which I've never even seen on the car. Holy crap, this looks so cool. So it has the carbon side, little fins on the front. Oh, and then awesome, look at this, the rear spoiler, and he blended it in so you see the carbon as a fade. Dude, this is insane. Wow, this is so cool. So a discrete car that you really wouldn't know what it is unless you looked at it, modified, but tastefully modified. I would say this goes on the level of doing the Stradale and converting it to a manual. You know, you don't even get the option to buy these seats or find these seats or have the availability to even get them. The fact that we had the offer to buy these seats and put them in the car, you had to just take advantage of the opportunity. This is like just so freaking cool. And the fact that this is a sunroofed Elite car makes it even cooler, although there was the carbon roof on the factory CSLs. But wow, I can't wait to take this car out and do a photo shoot with it. Drop a comment if you want to see a video on this car. We're definitely going to take it out. Let us know and we'll do it sooner than later if you guys really want it. Going back to the market report, this is something that's really cool. So brand new. So there's what I feel is like, I'm 39, so protecting the market for as we're getting older in the future. Certain cars now, because we're being told last of combustion engines, last of manual transmissions, cars like these in the newer models in the future are definitely going to be up in value. This right here is a paint to sample British Racing Green with a heritage interior and a manual transmission Targa 4S. Targas, as you know, are probably the most desired and hard to come across variants of a new model or any model for a Porsche. And being that this one is in this spec and And at 2024, they are not, you cannot order this anymore. You cannot order a Targa 4S, you cannot order a manual transmission and anything like this. You can't, and the next model coming out is gonna be a hybrid. So this car, in the future, in my opinion, is probably gonna stay the same, if not go up within the next 10 years. There is no way possible this car is gonna go down. A brand new car with all this technology and all the updates and creature comforts that you want, plus the specialness of paint to sample and the heritage interior. It just doesn't get better. I hope this car never sells, but it probably will sell after this video, blowing my luck. Viper green paint to sample. And this red over here, Guards Red GT3, is probably the most standard thing we have in here, but a great price point car under $200,000 to be able to afford and enjoy and use. Really awesome car. Again, low mileage, only 6,000 miles, very clean car. And then next to that, we have a 997.2 turbo manual convertible. They only produced 192 of those. Those are the last generations of a turbo convertible or a turbo manual in general. So this car only has 3,000 miles, making it probably the lowest mileage one that I've ever seen. And right now, like, this car is struggling. It's on Bring a Trailer. You know, it should be a $300,000 car, because if this was the future, it would be, but we're just not there yet, unfortunately. So basically, that car has room to grow. Another car, whether it's a coupe or convertible, they only made 296 coupes, 192 convertibles. You guys know we're very into those cars, and we focus tremendously on them. We've sold over 200 of them. That's a car to invest in for sure. So let's walk around. As you see here, factory matte black, factory, actually no, that's not matte black. Matte Magno, what is that color again? So here we have factory, what is it? Magno matte. So here we have a factory what is it again? Monza, okay. Here we have a factory Mazda, whatever the, Mazda black, here we go. I'm not a Mercedes, guys, at the end of the day. This car is freaking awesome. 2023 GT3, black with red, black metallic. Array of Stradales that we have, those are the best cars, I think. Also, another cool car is a 2016 GT3 RS that's paint to sample in black. Black being a rare variant for that car, because they never made it as a standard color, although black is a standard color. That's another funny aspect of things. 25-year anniversary Porsche Boxster. Just a great price point car. Very cool, very special, going to be collectible in the future. And of course, right here, what we have, Lamborghini Monterey Blue, one of 23. This is Ed Bolian's car, manual transmission, only 23 produced. Very rare, on the higher mileage, but if anyone took a look at this car and saw it, it literally is brand new. This car is only going to continue going up as production was so limited back then, and as more get totaled and exported, I mean, how do you put a price on this car? It's like the Mona Lisa of a Lamborghini. But we're sitting right next to it. That is a crazy car. So this is a car, this is from 1987 to 1989. They made 31 turbo Targa slant noses. Say that 10 times in a row. I found this car, again, it was hidden in someone's garage for 20 years, not being used. It has around 40-something thousand miles. Didn't know the value. There's not many comps out there. But right after I bought it, there was a 1989, which as you know is the 5-speed, and the 87s and 88 are the 4-speeds, an 89 with 8,000 miles. Obviously very low miles, and obviously the best one of its kind. Did $550,000. Now that was obviously a record, and obviously something very astonishing, but what it did is it created a good comp for our car. Go find another, as you know, that's our famous tagline. But realistically, where are you going to find another? I mean, this car's got sports seats. It's freaking awesome. Right there, we got a black Nero Stradale, only 11 produced, very, very rare. Next to it as well is a 430, another car that I feel is underrated with only around 250 produced in a manual transmission. This one is pre-standard ceramic brakes, but has the optional ceramic brakes for $18,000 and factory racing seats and in black, and a driver spec for with 26,000 miles. So this is definitely a car that if you're looking to get into the Ferrari manual game and want something that's in our generations and gonna have some future appreciation, that's the car. So what I'm getting at is the main thing is that if you see that are cars that are from those eras that you're gonna fall in love with, that everybody else loves, because those are the cars that we had in high school on our walls, whether it was a Testarossa or an 80s Porsche or a 90s Porsche, or you love the movie Bad Boys. These are the cars that you need to invest in. These are the cars, People yell and say cars are not an investment. Well, yeah, okay, they're an investment. I watched the Carrera GT go from 300,000 to 600 to 900 to 1.2 to 1.5 to 2 million. I leveraged that car as I grew in the business. I remember when I bought it for such a cheap price, and it was the most I could afford. And the long story short is now I've leveraged that car to grow my business. So I don't really care what anybody says. These cars are investments, without a doubt. Very smart, strategic investment groups, people. Like I said, a recent collector that's liquidating a certain amount, $25 million in artwork to basically put into vehicles, into cars. So he can experience the assets in different ways. And that's what people are doing. Now, the hardest part is you could put diamonds in your pocket. You could put artwork on your walls. Where do you put these cars? So that's another thing that's coming into play. These new storage facilities and these new car clubs that are coming out. Just the car community in general, as you see everything around the connecting ability between Instagram and social media, the fact that everyone's able to come together and have this as like a joint community culture is just so freaking cool. So that's why the car community and the car businesses and the car passion, love is not going anywhere. And when they say like the market goes down, the market goes up, in another country, if the market's up and it's down in the US, well, all of a sudden I get a lot of calls from Italy, or I get a lot of calls from Spain, and I'm selling Porsches. And honestly, the hard part is I don't really want to let go of some of these rare cars to go overseas, because once they're gone, they're gone. Like a lot of cars I could buy and I could sell them 5 times. So, you know, that's why picking the customers, it's not only just selling them. I'd rather sell it for a percentage less, knowing where it goes and knowing that I'm going to have the ability to get it back, because these cars just don't exist. Like right next to Darren right here is a 1,100 mile 997 turbo. Like, you can't replace that. So this is exactly what's downstairs in the 1994 comparison. 3.6 turbo like downstairs, which that car was once $100,000, is now $500,000 roughly. This car will struggle to get over $200,000, which is freaking crazy. Yes, over sticker. Keep in mind, the 94 turbo was $99,000, and it's now 5 times its value. This car was $140-ish thousand new, and it can't even get close to $200,000. This is a car that I yell at my clients to buy and say, this is an investment. This car will be $300,000-$400,000, I guarantee. I don't like to say I guarantee because people are going to lean on that, but I'm telling you, I will put bets on it that this car will be a $300,000 to $400,000 to $500,000 car if it stayed in this condition, if it stayed with this mileage. But then again, you don't need to have a 1,000-mile one. You could have a 10,000-mile one. You could have a 20,000-mile one. The price point to enter into this type of club, you could be under 100,000 and get into it. So, long story short is, buy 80s, 90s, early 2000 cars, specifically manual, special colors, good options, condition matters. Any questions, anytime, you know I'm available and I'm able to be reached. I handle the Instagram handle and my phone number is online. I would love to chat, talk cars, whether you're a buyer or not. It's the passion that I have and I live with in my blood all day long. So, any questions, drop it right here, specifically about the market, currently, future, and any specific questions about a car that you're looking to buy or invest in. Ryan Free Motor Cars, tune in next time. Thanks so much. See you later.